Welcome to our fourth session. And for this session, we're going to be talking about beginning reading, writing, and maths. So this is for the 5-year-olds who have done all that pre-reading and pre-writing preparation. And if their language is very good and they've listened to lots of stories and done lots of pre-reading activities, then they are ready to start formal reading. So we're going to share the screen now and have a look at the PowerPoint. So beginning reading, writing, and numeracy. So we can say numeracy or maths. But we're going to start with literacy. Now, what is literacy? Literacy is the ability to communicate with others through listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Before children are ready to read, they need to have heard 1,000 stories. So you need to have lots of storybooks in your kindergarten. If you haven't, then you could make some storybooks with stories you know. Now, in order to learn reading, we need to learn two things. Phonics, that's the sounds, and we need to learn the way that the words look, the sight words, the shape of the words. So here's a slide of the initial sounds. We've spoken about the word initial before, which means first. So the first sound you can hear in the word dog is d. But bird and cat. So for the initial sounds, you need to have a picture or an object collection. So you can have small pictures individually cut out, or you could have a box with all the things starting with A in the box, or another box with everything starting with B. So you can actually have physical objects. So the other aspect of literacy that children need to learn is that words are made up of shapes. So you can see the words on the board there. You can draw a shape around those words. Every word has a shape. And these words, children can just look at them and recognise by their shape. Some people think that we must teach all the sounds first before we can start on words, but that's not correct. We need to be teaching the sounds and the sight words at the same time. Back to the sounds. So there are lots of activities we can do with sounds. So you can see how I've made my small pictures there, coloured them in, cut them out, stuck them on card. And this is a game. You can make a box and it has 6 sides. So you can put 6 letters. Now, remember, the 5-year-olds are starting to learn the matching of the letter to the picture. The 4-year-olds wouldn't necessarily do this, but the 5-year-olds would be doing this. So we have 6 sounds on the box. We throw the box, and whatever comes up on top, in this case it's K, the children then have to find pictures on the table that start with K. So we can see there's a crab, there are some carrots, there's a cat. Then you throw it again, and if D comes up, the children have to pick up anything that starts with D. Another game you can play with the small pictures. So this is a competition between 2 players. We have 2 blank boards divided up into 9 rectangles. The small pictures just sit on top, so you can change them at any time. Now, we also have a stack of letters. And if A comes up on the top, if anyone has A on their board, they take it off, take the picture off the board, and then see what's underneath. It might be B. If it's B, they take off the bird or the butterfly or anything starting with B. And it's the first player to have a blank board is the winner. Now, these are very important and very easy to find because lots of people have drinks with tops these days. And then I have just printed out and I put on with sticky tape the letters, but you don't have to print them. You can just write them by hand, stick them on, and children can then use these to make words with 3 letters. So notice I put the vowels A, E, I, O, U in a different colour to make it easier to find them. Now, speaking about 3-letter words, a lot of words have 3 letters, like the word the, for instance, it has 3 letters, but it's not easy to sound. So we don't call that a 3-letter phonetic word. That's better as a sight word. But there are plenty of words that we can sound. And this is called a word wheel. And all the templates for these activities are on the website. So underneath, we have all the initial letters that start the words ending in et. So it would be met, pet, bet, set. And they move the wheel around and make the different words as it moves around. And I've just used a hair clip there in the centre to join the top and the bottom together. A very similar activity here. So this is called the phonics flipper. Now all the words ending in ug, we have the initial sounds on the small pages like bug, dug, hug. So we'd have B, H, D, and they just flip over those pages and make the 3-letter words. Another activity, notice there's blue tack there so that the letters can come off and on. Now this is a chart that the teacher can make, and the children have to be very quick with their eyes. So the teacher gets a pointer and just say they're going to make the word tap. Now the teacher doesn't tell the children the word that's in her mind, but we'll say that it's tap. So the teacher points like this without saying a word, and then the children have to say the word, which is tap. I'll do another one. Did you get the word? It was dog. Now we can learn sight words by making repeated sentences, and we can also make little books with repeated sentences. So here's a book that's being made. Where did I go? So the first page is I went to the park. So the child decides park, where they're going to go, and they draw the picture. The next page is I went to the zoo, and the child draws the picture. So they're learning the sight words I went to the, because they're repeating them over and over every time they read those sentences with a different ending. Here's one, I love my backpack, I love my mum. So lots of repetitive sentences with different endings that the child decides. These children are making a book called This Is A. They choose the ending. This is a cat, this is a dog. The sight words they are learning is this is a. Some more books that children have made. I like to make. I like to make pies. Another one, I have 2 eyes, I have 2 legs, and keep it going. Okay, another way to make books with repetitive sentences is to retell storybooks. So if you've got some favourite storybooks, then you can write the words yourself and the children can draw the pictures. So a favourite book, of course, is The Very Hungry Caterpillar. And the way the book goes, on Monday he ate 1 apple, on Tuesday he ate 2 pears, on Wednesday he ate 3 plums, right up to Saturday. So the children can then draw the picture, 1 apple for Monday, 2 pears for Tuesday, and so on. But it can be read as a big book with the repetitive words. On Monday he ate. So they're learning those sight words. Now you can also make books from your discussions when you have your topics of interest. Perhaps you want to make a book about birds. Ask the children to make the sentences in their head. You can write the sentences and they can draw the pictures. And there you have a reading book. Now, one good way to learn sight words is with flashcards. And children will recognise the word by its shape. You can see how I've drawn the shapes around those words. Here's another good game for repetitive sentences. Now, these are all separate little pieces of text. So I like to help, and the children can pick something from the right-hand side. I like to help Dad. Makes sense, doesn't it? But the other ones don't make sense. So these ones on the right-hand side, Dad, dog, cat, duck, hens, they can all be moved around. So come and play with the dog. We have a cat, but we could also say we have a dog. So you can move the right-hand side ones around to make different sentences. Because they're repetitive, they're learning those sight words on the left-hand side. Here's another one. And this time we're learning verbs at the end. Can you run? Come and play. Let's swim. We will walk. But we can mix the ones on the right-hand side. Can you play? Can you swim? Can you walk? Mix them all up. Okay, another sight word game is concentration, where you have pairs of words on flashcards. Then you turn them all over so that you can't see the word, and each player has a turn to turn over 2 words and see if they match. And if they match, they get to keep them. But in this case, these 2 words don't match, so that they have to turn them back over. Okay, here's a fun sight word game. Got some sight words in a line, and the children just step along the line and say the words as they step. Or lucky dip. So you can put the flashcards into a bucket and they close their eyes and pull one out, and then they have to say the word they pull out. Another game is tic-tac-toe. So the teacher just has a lot of words on a chart and points while the teacher says, tic-tac-toe, here I go, where I land I do not know. And the teacher is pointing to different words and stops on a word where it says, where I land I do not know. They stop on that word and the children have to say that word that the teacher stops on. The fly swat game, so flashcards, or you can make fancy ones like that. If the teacher says the, it's the first one with the fly swatter to swat the word the. Lily pad hop, sight words on these lily pads. The children pretend they're a frog and they jump along and they say the words as they jump along. Now we're going to compare the achievements of the 4-year-olds with the achievements of the 5-year-olds by the end of the year. Now we're only talking about mostly academic achievement. Of course, we must remember, as well as this, goes all the emotional and social development that has to happen as well. So a 4-year-old, by the end of the year, would expect them to be able to confidently do cutting and pasting using scissors without the teacher's help. Persevering when they find something difficult. So they're not getting so frustrated. They'll keep trying until they can do it. They should be able to draw a human figure. When they first start, they might just draw the head with two eyes, but then they'll develop that and get the whole figure with the body, the hands, the fingers, the toes. They should be able to join with other students to form a circle for a game, hold hands and join to make a circle. They should be able to count to 10 or to 20. And they should be able to count 10 objects, so they have their one-to-one correspondence worked out. They should also be able to recognise the numbers up to 10, to recognise their name, and if possible, to write it. They should be able to say the initial sounds for objects and pictures. So when you hold up those little picture cards, you hold a picture of a cat, they should be able to say straight away, K. They don't have to know the letters of the alphabet yet. And different activities, they should be able to find the odd one out, which one is missing, which is different. They should be able to start writing a pattern from left to right. So their eye movements are moving from left to right. And they should know their colours and their shapes. Okay, a 5-year-old. So they should be able to do everything that the 4-year-olds can do, plus these extras. They should be able to recognise and say the sounds of the alphabet. Now, we're still talking about A, B, K, D, E. They still don't need to call them by their actual names. They don't need to say A, B, C yet. But they need to, when you show them the letter of the A, they need to be able to say A. And they need to be able to write the letters. They should be able to copy a pattern, hold the pencil correctly. That's very important because a lot of children these days have funny ways of holding the pencil. So you need to teach them right from an early age how to hold the pencil correctly. And with maths, well, they knew how to count up to 10 or 20 in 4-year-old kindergarten, but you could extend this to counting backwards. Ordinal number means first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. So if you have a line of children, they should be able to tell you who is third in the line or who is 10th in the line. They can do some simple addition with equipment. So we're talking about counters, stones, bottle caps. So you could say, I've got 3 bottle caps, and if there are 4 more, how many altogether? So we're not talking about plus and minus at this stage, but it's just we add 4 more, or we take away 3. How many altogether? They should be able to make groups of objects. Can they make 2 groups of 3 using their equipment? Start with one group. Can you make one group of 3? Now can you make another group of 3? And now you have 2 groups of 3. They should be able to walk along number lines and know what's 2 more or 2 less by walking forwards and walking backwards. Now with their English expression, they should be able to form a sentence in their head and the teacher can write it down. So it could be about a picture they have drawn, or it could be about a topic that you've discussed in class. Perhaps a child can draw the picture and you come and say, what would you like to say about your drawing? And they can then tell you a sentence about the drawing, which you can write down for them. And you can actually put all the pages of their drawings together with their sentences, and that becomes a big book that you can read to the class. So you'll find the resources for the literacy and numeracy on the Beacon Media website. If you go to the homepage, there is a section on literacy and numeracy. Now for you to do, you need to make an initial sound picture collection. Again, if you go to the website, you'll find the black and white pictures that you can print out. You need to colour them, put them on a separate piece of card. You can either laminate or just stick onto the card. You need to make a phonics flipper and to make a big book using the repetitive sentence beginnings. You don't have to draw the pictures. You could just do the sentences like, this is a cat, this is a dog, this is a pig, or I am going to the shops, I am going to the market. So about 5 pages would be enough. And make sure that you do it landscape because there's more room to write the sentences. So that's it for session 4, and I'll see you again on session 5.